kind of crush their counterparts.
Yeah, I 100% agree with the bot lane point. I think Noah has been a little bit disappointing, but I do think when it comes to Razork and Humanoid, they've been the wow factor of Fnatic. Razork has had an incredible year in the LEC, and now coming into this, you can already see that that mid jungle is being focused down here by C9. You've already got the Azir taken off the board. Poppy as well was a big pick for Razork, and now we're going to have to see as well how they want to try and continue this one forward.
And these are the only two picks that we've actually seen from Oscarinin. His best game definitely was on the Renekton, so they are going to be taking that away. Humanoid, he is known for the Azir. When I think of him internationally, I think of his best games on this. When he did play that Akali, I don't think he looked nearly as comfortable, and I know it was something that was a little bit newer, but a lot of these players have been trying to evolve their champion pools here at Worlds and adapt to the ever-changing meta.
Speaking of the ever-changing meta, one thing that has stayed relatively consistent is Xayah is really good and is often picked if possible. And that is going to happen again here. C9 going to grab that one, and the Sejuani is what Fnatic elected to take away from Blaber. He has plenty of things that he can go towards. I'm a bit curious about that ban.
I actually think that this is a fantastic start for Cloud9. I think Xayah, by far and away, the strongest AD carry in the patch, like, tears through things like the Kai'Sa and stuff that you want to take into it. Yes, you got the Orianna and the Rakan on the opposite side that are great, but Jarvan Rumble is such an insanely strong combo alongside that Xayah.
I also think it's a pretty good denial because it combines really well with the Orianna also. You can set that up. So I do think it's really strong. And when you're thinking about AD carry options here for Noah, you may be feeling like you have to be a little bit more defensive now, potentially, when you are going into this Jarvan, when you are going into the Rumble. And now they don't pick Kai'Sa here. Kai'Sa could be actually getting banned out, and then there's potential to be pushed down onto something more like that Ezreal, which I know the EU fans are really not a fan of thus far this tournament.
And this is your favorite matchup as well, Azael. This time it's in your favor.
Yeah, and we'll see how it goes, right? I do think this is incredibly difficult for the Jax in the 1v1. In the early levels, you can be fine, in the 1v1, but as you get more levels, Rumble gets more and more prio. It's very difficult, and you have to be covering the Jax on these dives. You need to be keeping him safe. That being said, if you can get a strong jungle pairing where you can win 2v2s and you can still attack the Rumble, and Jax can eventually outscale, but I think it gives so much prio over to Cloud9 in the top lane that it's going to have more options there available for Blaber, because it's more likely you're going to be pushed in there, you're going to be able to get wards onto Razork, and hopefully give Blaber the advantage.
Yeah, I think the big one for me is then trying to see if you can get a strong if you can try and have an answer here for Cloud9 on that mid jungle, so then you're able to have Blaber try and play towards that top side. Zeri already taken away here from Noah. That was the big question that marked for me, was like, is that now the fallback for Noah? Because that's been the big one for him. Aphelios has been the other very strong champion, but into the Xayah, you not really want to go for that.
And Rumble J4 is scary.
Exactly. So you're probably going to have the Kai'Sa ban come through here, and it feels like Noah is going to default then to something like the Ezreal that, honestly, I kind of agree with what the desk has said, has been absolutely miserable at this tournament.
And that's going to be the Alistair as the final ban. Pretty purple for our second round of bans. Don't tell Lulu. As the Zeri will be augmented with another one. I imagine it's just Kai'Sa, right? Like you were talking about, that would make some sense. So the mid lane not going to be quite as pinched, just the Syndra being taken away from EMENES. And of course, he does like to play some eclectic champions as well. Just have to see where he decides to land, because both of the solo lanes have already been locked in for Fnatic. Oftentimes red side used for those counter picks, but very early on they've managed to take these away. So an opportunity here for EMENES to get some work done, and the Lee Sin will slink through the draft as well, with that Rel being taken away.
Yeah, they focus on the Rel, more worried about the Relcon combo. Obviously really powerful engage, can help to set up that dive. Lee Sin obviously can really be strong, but it's one of those champions that I think the baseline is lower than for that Rel. The top end is maybe higher, but it's obviously a lot more difficult to actually execute on. So we'll see if Razork can have that good game, can put himself into a good spot here. I do think this makes a lot of sense as a pick. If they go Nautilus, it's a good pairing, gives the hard engage. And also, if you're expecting something along the lines of a potential Ezreal, then you have that guaranteed point-and-click CC where you can hopefully lock that guy down and set up for the Rumble red carpet that's going to be coming through on some of these lower mobility champions.
I am curious to see what the answer is going to be for EMENES here in the mid lane. Like, you open up a lot of AD picks here when you go towards the Rumble on the top side. So I'm curious if you end up something like the Jace or something like that going in towards the mid lane here. You get good push against the Orianna. And just the fact that we are kind of talking about that strong mid jungle for Fnatic, I mean, Orianna Lee Sin doesn't scream absolutely insane combo for like early pressure. Usually you want something like an Ari or something along those lines in the early stages. But I mean, this could be juicy as well if he wants to go towards it.
Okay,
there it is.
EMENES is definitely someone who really does like to play the aggressive picks. He's played this in the LCS a number of times. Yone really can help to set you up for success, because now you have the Yone CC, you have the Jarvan ultimate, you have the CC with from Nautilus as well, so you have a lot of tools to hold people in place on top of that equalizer. And also if you can land that initial CC, drop the equalizer down, the feather pull can be there as well, so you can have that really powerful combo. It is very likely to be that Ezreal. I think they're going to get that locked in, and EU fans probably not going to be too happy about that. But the fact of the matter is, what would you feel more happy having? Because you're going to be in so much danger if you play something that's low mobility, if you go towards an Aphelios, which Noah was really successful on Aphelios in the LEC, but if you went towards something like that, it's kind of just asking to die. So your options are limited unless you're super confident in your ability to kind of like dodge out on these engages.
Yeah, but it's those like limited options that I'm looking at for Fnatic, right? It feels like when you look at what Cloud9 have, great dive, ton of backline pressure, ultimates galore that can set you up for these team fights. And it's going to be Humanoid that's going to feel a lot of that pressure in these fights. And once that kind of occurs, it's like, well, Fnatic, you don't really have the best setup for an Orianna ult, so Humanoid is going to be reliant on himself, or Oscarinin and Trymbi getting in there. It feels like, for me, Cloud9 just have very ease of access to backline and ease of execution.
Yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, you know, you do have Humanoid on a range versus melee matchup early on. If he can get pushed, if he can create an advantage, that's one of the things that I'm actually really... That guy is not happy.
Not happy at all. And I like they're still waving the sign around. They're like, dang it!
But Humanoid, you know, can be potentially set up for success here. You know, if he can get an advantage in mid lane, I do think with Rakan, you do have backline access. You do have the abilities to teamfight really effectively here. You have the Lee Sin that doesn't have to just be used to dive. You can use that as a disengage pick here as well. So I think Fnatic have some pretty strong teamfight themselves. But there is always the question about, you know, if your lanes are going to be getting pushed in and top and bot, you know, is Razork going to be able to find those ganking angles that he really wants to? Because he's going to want to be active. And, you know, how is he going to do here against Blaber?
It's going to be the question on everyone's lips, but now it is time to get into our very first game of the day. C9, I think, came out of that draft feeling pretty happy. We'll see whether Fnatic can get things underway, because, of course, it's red side, and red side is a difficult one.
It is going to be a difficult one for sure, but the thing to keep in mind with those stats is also that the higher seeds do get the side selection, and they have been winning almost always in this tournament.
See whether C9 can stay with that. And speaking of staying with things, you can connect your League of Legends account with Prime Gaming. Grab the exclusive experimentation emote. It is a whole lot of fun to use, so definitely recommended. And let's just see. Oscarinin is just cruising up here. Not going to have too much first damage blood happening here between our top laners.
Yeah, top lane, I think, is going to dictate a lot of this game. You know, Fudge has a really good game, and I think he's someone who hasn't been having as good games, right? If Oscar can get the advantage, if he can survive, and then Razork gets up there and they get a kill on Fudge, all of a sudden, these Ignite Rumble picks can really fall off, because if you lose side lane prio and you don't have TP, it gets very difficult to play. So I do think both junglers are going to be paying a lot of attention towards top lane. And it could be, you know, those early 2v2s deciding things.
So that's the thing. I mean, over the course of the main event, Blaber is the second highest jungle proximity towards top lane at 14. 13.6% is an insanely high number. And I think that's where you want to see in this game, it is going to pay off, because when you're running the Ignite, you need that help to get that lane rolling in your favor.
And it's really interesting. I was actually looking into this matchup a fair bit, because I was talking with some people, you know, like, well, how does this matchup really go in pro? And so I was looking back over the last, you know, season or two in this matchup in top lane. Across 49 games, the average lead for Rumble in laning phase was, you know, a bit over 300 gold. It was plus 11 CS at 15. Like, that was the average result. So it is definitely one of those matchups that you're expecting the Rumble to get the advantage. But that being said, if you can really play it safe, not die, just give up the minimum, the Jax can still win from that position later on.
Sort of, you can never beat a Jax in a side lane is kind of what you're going to
unless you are very ahead.
Yes. We'll see whether that is going to be the same this time around, because when the shoe was on the other foot, Fudge didn't have the greatest of times in the matchup. But we'll just see whether this is going to work out. You can see already Razork moving towards that top side of the map, and Blaber on his Wolves is going to have a Lee Sin poke his head in. Q going to miss though. And Razork just going to get the information and move away.
But still, nice little invade there, and they can poke and prod, because on those early levels, you can get the push for the Jax here. So Blaber's trying to wrap around. He's trying to see where the heck did Razork go, and Razork has stayed around and is on this Gromp. Both these junglers do have Smite, and Blaber's going to get here in time, so it is going to be a bit of a Smite fight here.
Looks like Razork doesn't want to stick around. Oh, that was pretty close, but not going to happen. There's the flash over from Fudge. They are really investing into this. They do manage to get Razork's flash.
And I like this from Razork, though. He ends up conceding his bot side jungle because he's like, look, I need to stay in this top side to stop a gank. But yeah, I don't know if they want to try and go for that just yet, especially with Blaber still in the area. But I like that they're, hey, look, give Oscarinin that opportunity to shove in top side, get some control, and just deny Blaber that introduction into that top side nice and early.
Exactly, and Blaber doesn't even feel comfortable to actually take his blue just yet because he's trying to see, okay, well, where is Razork going? Is he going to be re-ganking mid? Is he going to be looking for a dive on top? Now Fudge has no flash, so it is one of those situations that I say this trade goes heavily in the favor of Fnatic and Razork. You know, yes, it is a trade of flashes, but jungler for top laner, and in this matchup where Rumble can be exposed in a long lane, I think is really good for them. Plus the fact that he actually took away the Grump, he got the topside scuttle, now he can cross towards bot and actually get double scuttle, and you can see Blaber is going in for a lane gank, and this feels like a little bit of pressure on this to actually really work because he's falling behind.
Yeah, I think he's not sure exactly where Razork is, and as you say, he has to try and make sure that Fudge can actually push this in. Fudge burnt his flash in that last little scrap, so if you ended up with Razork and Oscarinin able to chase him down, it'd be an absolute disaster. So you are pulling, but I don't know if you can dive this, lads.
Well, we'll see whether the counter-strike is going to be put on cooldown. That's the important part of it. Blaber with a bit of a drive-by to get that cooldown, and now Oscarinin trying to keep himself alive. There is the Flame Spitter. Fudge tanking the tower, though. The Ignite is down, and he's not going to be able to grab the kill. They just, I guess it's intimidation tactics under the tower.
Well, I actually like this because you are going to be making him lose some CS, and Blaber didn't really have that much to do on the map anyway because he already knew he lost bot side scuttle. So they do get the flash for the Ignite, so things are kind of evened out in that regard. It also buys a good base time in there for Fudge. He was covered on the play because he's playing in that side lane brush. So if Razork had crossed back over to top and he was covering the lane gank, then they say, all right, we're not going to fully commit, but we are going to get a little bit of pressure here and try to get a slight advantage.
Yeah, I think the big winner here is Razork, as you say.
Absolutely.
The fact he's managed to clear out everything. Iron Spike Whip compared to just the components. He's going to be in a great spot now if he actually ends up challenging a lot of these fights, especially if they meet 1-for-1. So I think this is going to give Razork that opportunity to try and find that early advantage up against the Jarvan here.
Working out so far, you can see now going for a bit of a reset here in this bottom lane. Noah has been farming pretty nicely up against Berserker on the Xayah, but as we know, Berserker just wants to get to those 3 items and hard carry the game. And at the moment, that is seemingly working out, close to that 50 CS margin. EMENES, he headed back home and has teleported back to this mid lane on a similar timing to Humanoid as well, and checking in on the CS. He's only a few behind, which is what you'd expect in this melee range matchup, especially Yone, who can get a little bit bullied by the Orianna.
Yeah, especially in those early levels, it can be a little bit more difficult, but also Lost Chapter, a great buy here for Humanoid, so we'll be looking to just constantly keep that poke running. As Fudge just shoving here, and you can see Zven has made the roam.
Yeah, he's moving up here towards this top lane. Good equalizer placement there from Fudge as the Flame Spitter comes out. Hook is going to land. That's first blood to the Rumble. And Razork not going to be able to do anything here, even with Trymbi waiting in the wings, although they are going to go in overly aggressively here. They just look to the least, and they take him down. It is going to be an answering kill. But now Zven lands the hook. They're not going to be able to lock down the Rakan just yet, and 2-1 in the end.
That is massive there for Fudge on the top side. A great roam from Zven. Trymbi was trying to match, but Zven got there first and made all the difference, as Oscar didn't expect Zven to be there that early. Ooh. Shockwave going to be a swing and the miss there for Humanoid, and EMENES just going to be getting this pushed in, but getting those 2 kills really important. Neither of the kills go over to Oscarinin, and sure, Fnatic get one back, but it's on Trymbi. You remove the shutdown to get a kill on your support, so C9 are going to be really happy about how that worked out.
2 big kills going across over to him is going to be massive. And again, just nice roam from Spain. You can see Blaber was there to cover as well. He was in a really good spot, so Trymbi kind of felt pressured to try and help Razork in that play, and it all just fell apart. So great job by C9 to cover.
Here comes Blaber.
Yeah, this is not looking great. You can see Oscar already taking so much damage. The counter-strike comes in and Fudge says, that's not going to stop my flamethrower. And so it is going to be, once again, the Jack's pushed out of this lane, and does feel like what we were expecting kind of in this matchup, but has kind of gone worse.
But the thing is now, you're in pressure here as Fnatic because you just had to reset Oscarinin. You've got Rift Herald in 30 seconds. Fudge is going to have his flash back up. He's going to have his ult back up. He's going to have a ton of control over this top side. And even Blaber just needs to clear at camp to hit level 6.
And Fudge is actually holding the wave. You know, I don't know if we can get a peek over towards top side, but he did not elect to push on that base. He did hold the wave to deny, so you can see the experience advantage now opening up on the top side. Fudge now 7-6. Of course, Oscarinin, you know, will be part way there, but it is going to open up both the gold advantage and the XP advantage, which can make things really hard here for Oscar, especially because Fudge is going to have his flashback first, and when that flash timing comes up, he's going to have Ignite, he's going to have Equalizer, and he's going to have Flash, and Oscarinin will have to be really careful about that window, because that's where I would be looking for the potential aggressive play from Fudge.
And that's happened right now. Oscarinin taking a lot of damage. You can see also we've got a bit of a split fight, but the equalizer has been invested. Let's check out this top lane, see whether the ulti's going to be enough, but no, he just burns down. Another kill for Fudge. And EMENES managed to get them off the Rift Herald as well. The cross map is not there.
I mean, there was just no respect from Oscar. It's such an obvious kill window that Fudge is going to be going for. I don't know if he just wasn't tracking the cooldowns or what.
Well, there's the ulti from EMENES. Get him to safety. Noah was moving on up, 3 versus 2, and that's going to mean that they get out scot-free. So far, C9 with so much control.
But I agree with Azael here. Like, disrespect from Razork to try and start up on the Rift Herald as well. You had no control over mid. Humanoid had gone for a reset. You don't have the... You could have actually gone to try and help out Oscarinin in that top side if you really wanted to try and help him shove that in, but instead they kind of just disrespect all of this. Like, Razork could be in top side here, but instead Fudge is just able to take him down nice and easy.
And Oscar takes the fight, right? You're trying to do both at the same time when your top laner is most vulnerable. So when Oscar's most vulnerable, he's jumping into fight and you're trying to take Herald. It's just too much at once here for Fnatic, and C9 back to the scene of the crime. Will push off Razork one more time. Zven has made the roam, EMENES has made the roam as well. You can see both bot laners still down on that bot side, but C9 more interested in keeping Razork off of this objective than taking it themselves, it seems like.
Yeah, I mean, even the fact that you've got push in mid, you can try and move over here, but every time Razork has started up, it's just kind of a case of not waiting for your lanes to be in the correct position. He's then forced away. Trymbi trying to hide with Humanoid here.
Yeah, Humanoid taking a little bit of damage, but Trymbi comes in, saves the day. And EMENES just going to do what he can to clear out these minions underneath the turret. Bit of a quiet game so far for the Yone. Just managed to use his ultimate defensively, but he is going to be very important come these mid-game fights. As C9, they lock down the Rift Herald 2 minutes after she spawned. A little bit of a late one on that front, but able to grab it in the end.
But this is the thing, Fnatic are just kind of looking at them doing it right. They're not actually trying to move down towards Dragon now, but Humanoid very low on mana because he's had to keep pushing in, although good damage on EMENES there. And now they're starting it up, not really looking for the play either. This is going to be spotted out by Berserker. But
Shockwave as EMENES taking a lot of damage. The Clockwork wind-up, and that is going to be the command attack flashed. And EMENES now going to go home.
Good stuff from Humanoid there, really putting the pressure on. He does have the early Seekers as well. He knows it's going to be mostly physical damage attacking him here between mid and jungle, and he needs to be someone that's getting going here for Fnatic because things have been difficult.
Look at topside though, because they wasted time. Now here's play on Oscarinin again.
Yeah, the equalizer means that it's very difficult to get past it. Interrupted, and Fudge just burns him down. Gorgeous dive from C9.
And they get the TP, and the TP is very late. He's going to be able to collect the wave, but not there nearly in time to be able to actually stop the play whatsoever. So now EMENES gets to push out the wave for free and get a reset. And if you looked bot lane, when we saw the gold graph on the side, Berserker was a good 700 gold ahead of where Noah is because he actually is up on farm. He took the plate as well. So things are definitely looking really good for Cloud9 right now.
And that was such a sick read from Blaber. He was like, look, Fnatic have been so late to go down towards this dragon. They're going to invest all that extra time they kind of built up into that. I can just make this play on top side knowing Razork isn't going to be here. Humanoid, we already said, was super low on mana, especially after trying to kill EMENES. I mean, yeah, it says it right there on your screen. That's absolutely insane.
2,000 at 11 and a half minutes?
I mean, look at the items. It's a Sheen and a longsword to a Night Harvester.
The Sheen and a Dream.
Like, that is brutal. So Fudge is massively ahead, and Cloud9 can continue playing around those objectives. This is just beautiful timing, though, from Blaber. Interrupts the leap strike there with the ulti. That is sick.
And also the equalizer, I love the equalizer placement as well. Put it behind the turret so we can't play around the turret placement to try to mitigate the gank. Really nicely done by Fudge as well, as EMENES moving towards his top side, looking to punish Humanoid as well. And it really feels like C9 have elected into the top lane being their battleground this game.
I mean, that TP was not much of anything. I think that he was making the read that Humanoid was going to commit to the fight and there was going to be a bit of a scrap and he could TP in behind him and get that kill. It doesn't cost them too much, but it is a wasted TP at the end of the day there from EMENES.
Also a bit of a wasted Rift Herald. You would have liked that goal to go to EMENES or even to Fudge, right? So I thought maybe they were going to try and rotate Blaber up there and just use the numbers advantage they have to dive top tower, but not going to be the case. Instead, it will just be the goal going into the hands of the Jarvan that's just picked up their core drink.
Yeah, at the very least, Razork does have his Gore Drinker as well, so still strong on the map. We'll be counting on Razork and Humanoid. I think they're kind of that point of power to try to be making plays around them. You know, Trymbi can get involved as well, and you can try to play around that core, because right now, you don't really want to fight with Oscarinin. You want Oscarinin just pushing out side lanes to make someone answer, because if he has someone from Cloud9 answering him in that side lane, it's a better 4v4 for Fnatic, because Oscar's just so poor.
But that's the problem, is that with how strong Fudge is, he's... Oh, hang on, Humanoid?
That's Zven. He was thinking about it. You could tell that he was looking for a depth chart angle, but decides not to go for it. Yeah, Grand Entrance is going to come on through. There's a Lee Sin as well, but Blaber is going to answer that with a QE. And now the kick is going to come back. That's the kill onto Zven, as already Fnatic have picked up one, but there's the ulti from EMENES, gets into the back line. Trymbi is going to quickness him up though, and the Yone has stepped too far. Blaber just has to flag and drag his way out.
And there's that core Azael was just talking about, popping off in the mid lane. It looked like it could have been a setup for C9 as Zven was there, but as soon as Fnatic were able to jump onto Blaber, not realizing he was on a ward, it's great setup for the squad.
Humanoid played it really, really well. Even the flash out on the Yone ulti there. EMENES maybe not tracking that or underestimating it because he goes back in and he gets CC'd up beautifully by Trymbi there on the re-engage. Was trying to go for that turn. Trymbi was ready for him, and Cloud9 get punished here as the early shockwave connects only on Zven as he steps forward. So this makes them think, hey, we can actually step up. EMENES is getting a really good trade down onto Humanoid, but Razork helps to finish off Zven. They get that initial kill, and then this is where EMENES is seeing some low health bars and thinks he can re-engage. But Trymbi is ready. The R for the charm, the immediate knockup, the ignite goes down, and that sets up for those skill shots to land. But we're watching Oscar. This is becoming, oh no, he's dead.
Yeah, sometimes you think you're going to get away, and then he still has an R button. Fudge is just massive. This is, C9 is going to be relying on this Rumble, and to be perfectly honest, if you're looking at a mid-game like this and you have a Rumble this fed, I'm pretty happy if you're a C9 fan.
And we can see almost 2K ahead in the MasterCard lane economy snapshot there.
And this is the problem now. With Fudge being this far ahead, Oscarinin can't create any pressure on the map, so immediately C9 are just going to have a point of pressure. So for Fnatic, they want to try and have these dragons that they're starting to set up for as their big point to draw Cloud9 into fights. But honestly, that's kind of where Cloud9 want to be. As you say, when you have a Rumble that's this big, the setup you have with Blaber, EMENES, Zven, trying to take these fights as Fnatic are going to be so difficult.
And to me, this is Cloud9's comfort zone. You know, people talk a lot about Berserker, but Berserker often is not involved in the early game for Cloud9 almost at all. He just wants to farm, he wants to get his gold, and then he wants to show up to a team fight and roast you. You know, that's kind of Cloud9's style, is that they're active on the map generally without him, and then all of a sudden, you know, you're not thinking about him. He's 0-0-0, he shows up to that team fight, he has that item completion through, and he really can make magic happen for Cloud9. So that's what they are going to be hoping for, is this kind of farming win condition for them. Fudge doesn't think this could be going on, but there's 3 members here. He does have Equalizer, though. This could be dangerous for them.
Yep, Ward's going to the brush. And Fudge,
no flash.
They're looking to try and get out of the way. Blaber gets on in here. There's the shockwave onto the Rumble to try and buy some time, but they're now being barbecued by Fudge. The knockup comes through as well. Razork, he is going to bite the dust as well. It's a double kill for Fudge. And the top laner just keeps getting more massive. He's 7-1.
Razork just delivered Blaber into the backline. It was like, oh yeah, I'll take this, no problem. But oh great, there's a super low Jax here. I can set up a Zven, and everything they're doing to shut down Fudge is just ending up with them saying it.
I mean, that was so risky. They tried to go on the timing. Equalizer wasn't actually up for a couple seconds when they're looking for that dive, but there's only 3 minions, and you're walking through the tower there as Humanoid with no flash, so it's a massive punish there. Now the Equalizer's available.
Yeah,
Trymbi's gone.
Trymbi has got a lot of mobility, but now EMENES is going to teleport behind him. The quickness to come through, and he's pretty slippery, but he's running out of ability to get away. That is going to be the final one, and EMENES locks down the kill. Trymbi bought a fair bit of time there. Is only going to be 1 onto the support, but now how much more can they get?
It's all right, lads. It's the best of 3. This is going to be all right.
You're already giving up on game 1.
No, this is where we start conversations about, oh, this is where you got to think about game number 2. What you no, that's
no.
not.
I want to bask in this. I want to enjoy this. You can't say this is over. This is like when you're having the really good solo queue game and you get 10 kills in the FF. You're like,
oh, yeah,
no,
yeah.
I need to enjoy this. I don't get it that often. Give me this. Come on, guys.
Well, we're going to give that one to Fudge, as there was just no way for Oscar to do anything in that moment. And let's have a look to see where this kick is going to go.
Yeah, at this stage it's a bit of a whoopsie. If Humanoid doesn't end up in a position where he's actually going to follow up, Blaber has that core drinker, so when he gets kicked into position, he's actually like, oh wait, I can turn on this Jax. And when Zven rocks up to the party as well, it's an absolute disaster. The tower is working heavily in favor of C9.
Yeah, and Trymbi, I think, did a really good job to delay this. I thought he was just going to be dead right off the rip, especially with the TP coming in from EMENES, but does a good job. At the end of the day, unfortunately for him, it did mean that he went down anyway and used the stopwatch, which is one of those key playmaking abilities. We can see back towards live, though. Fnatic, I think, realized, you know, we're so far behind, we just need to try to fight and hope we can make some magic happen. They do have great engage. They have some AoE. But with Fudge here on 2 full items, if he gets a decent equalizer, it's hard to see them winning the fight.
Trymbi's going to escape. That looked with the zoom like he was trying to grand entrance his own team. Didn't actually happen. Did manage to escape, though, as we do have the second Drake going to Fnatic. Now we're attempting an engage. Great ulti! Look at the equalizer! On top of it, they're set up by Zven and knocked down. There's the ult to come through as well from EMENES.
Berserker.
go back, and now Berserker is free hitting. Everyone is so incredibly low. Trymbi tries to be the hero. It's going to mean that he falls down, and C9 are still on the prowl. I don't know whether Noah and Oscarinin can get out of this one because EMENES, he's trying to look for it. These back positions are not where you want because C9 are closing in. Noah might be able to get out, but EMENES, he's going to bind his soul back up again after picking up the kill, and C9 just rolling over the top.
Fnatic get the dragon, but Cloud9 with the 5-for-0 ace. 8,000 gold is the lead now. They crush him. It's a perfect equalizer and engage here. Look at Zven, goes in, gets the hook on Noah, forces the shift, and then the immediate equalizer plus the ultimate coming through from Zven was just perfect. And then in goes Blaber, 3-man ulti, Gore Drinker combo on everyone. All of Cloud9 piling in. Berserker early pop on the Ghost to chase him down.
And that's exactly what we were talking about, is that for Fnatic, they want to try and play through the 4v4 team fight, then have your Jack split push on the side. No presence for the Jacks in the side lane. And this Rumble is so massive. So much setup for him in team fights, and you get to see it beautifully executed there by Cloud9.
I just can't wait to see what Hooney's going to say about this Rumble performance from Fudge.
It deserves a thumbs up.
Oh, 100%.
At least one thumb up.
I'm going to send him a message immediately after this, and we'll try and report back as to what he thought, because it's Ignite Rumble for one. That's perfect. And he's picked up all of the kills for his team, exactly what a top lane is supposed to do in the book of Hooney.
And you can see teamfight damage powered by AWS there. Fudge is cooking him. And I have to say, you know, even just on kind of an individual level, this has to feel good for Fudge because he has been the target of so much criticism throughout this world. You know, people are saying Fudge is not worth playing towards. Stop going top lane. Stop picking for this guy. He's not good enough. It's not worth it. So for him to have this game, I think, is a confidence booster because Fudge hasn't been at that level we expect.
Well, there's the kick flash, and Teleport's going to come in. I think they're going to need 3 because Fudge does have the stopwatch. But there it is. So the rest of C9 are making their way up. Oscar is very, very low. There's a flag and drag to get the knock up onto Humanoid. They know who the most powerful one is on this Fnatic roster. They're going to take him down. The other two are going to limp their way out, and C9 once again retain map control. I
mean, it's just in front of the Baron as well, so if they really want to, they can try and turn for this. They are going to. Lee Sin is just backed. Razork isn't in the position.
And Berserker's on 2 items, so he's going to shred this.
Yeah, and now Trymbi, he knows exactly what's going on. They did manage to get that ward into the pit. It is off now as Noah is looking for an opportunity. Tries to get out of the way of EMENES, but he is still chasing him down. That Soul's going to have to rebind, but he still manages to get the kill, and the Baron falls down as well. Trymbi looking to try to escape. The Battle Dance is going to be able to get him there. That Q probably pretty good that it missed. And C9, they'll take a Baron, and they'll look for more. It's almost 10,000 gold to lead.
Yeah, it's another great call there for Cloud9. Fnatic obviously really running low on options. When you're this far behind, what can you do besides overload one side and look for picks, right? This is really all they have.
Yeah, you kind of have to make something happen, and they do end up getting that shutdown onto Humanoid, but as you can see from the ult here from Humanoid, he's got no damage left in the tank. Fnatic correctly try to run away, but it's just unfortunate that this does happen immediately in front of the Baron, and you get the reset coming through from the Lee Sin, so it's easy pickings for Cloud9.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to criticize from this point because Fnatic are so far behind and unlikely to matter, but Razork basing there was surprising to me because you're losing your mid laner right beside that Baron. You know, had he stayed around, maybe there's a chance at a steal in that kind of heroic play, but it's definitely a tough spot here in Cloud9 now, just looking to get a clean closeout on this game, and it would be their second win against EU here.
Yeah, there's another Cataclysm to come on through. The Equalizer not placed perfectly, but I think it's good enough as there it is, the kill onto the Orianna. The double knockup comes in as well. Trymbi's trying to do what he can. Zven is charmed, but now has his pick of the litter if he wants to throw out that anchor. Instead, they're just going to look towards these turrets. Oscarinin in that bottom lane just doing what he can to try and get some money back, and the bounty gold does come through. But he's going to be needed if they want to try and keep their base alive. The siege is definitely a big deal. Berserker now trying to get some work done in the mid lane. Fnatic setting up here on the top side for some desperation defense. And it looks like they are going to be able to keep their base alive for the moment. C9 looking for the next avenue of attack.
It looks like they want to try and back maybe for the dragon that's up, but I think at this stage you're like, screw dragons, as long as we can keep this pressure up, we're going to be totally fine. EMENES looking for some damage, but going to back on out of there. But they shouldn't try and move over, just use the last minute that they have at this Baron, keep the waves shoved in, and then in 10 seconds you just fall back to the dragon and take that as Fnatic are trying to deal with the waves in their base.
And is there something to be said for trying to drag this game on for as long as possible to do that emotional damage?
There is, but I'd rather they win.
Well, at the moment, they're going to take down this dragon. That is going to mean no soul point for Fnatic. That was a bit of a pipe dream, to be perfectly honest. In theory, if this game goes for another 20 minutes, gentlemen, we could see an Ocean Soul for C9 with 4 Ocean Drakes. That's a lot.
I have 2 battles going on right now. My head that says, come on, this game is over. This game is comfortable. It's in the bag. And then my heart that is just like,
when's the throw?
It's not over, it's not over, it's not over, oh God.
He's daring to believe. Let's have a look at this replay.
Yeah, I mean, great setup here from Cloud9. Humanoid, they know he has no flash. They timed that super well, so immediately jump onto him. Blaber, fantastic stopwatch. Like, this is just beautiful play from Cloud9 and taking their pick of the litter. Exactly, they know who is available to have that flash or get out of position, and Cloud9 are just pounce.
And I think something that Cloud9 really does deserve credit for in this game is tracking cooldowns and punishing those missing
100%,
CDs.
100%.
Because they have been so good at punishing Humanoid, who I think has played a really solid game, you know, and had some big moments early. But every time he spent his flash, they punished it before it was up, right? They've been so good at doing that. So now Fnatic, you know, trying to find this perfect angle for that miracle comeback, but C9 going to be closing in, clearing out that vision, and looking for a fight to close this one.
Just barely not able to get there as Blaber dives in. That is going to be the escape from Trymbi. True Shot Barrage avoided by Blaber. That was very, very close. C9 going to have to get some health back on their jungler and try again.
It's definitely a swing and a miss there from Cloud9. You know, Blaber tried to go over the wall. They tried to find that setup for Fudge on the equalizer, but he dropped it. And Fnatic were just able to get back through the base gates and get back to safety.
That's a whole nother minute we paused. That's all we need. More of that. But I think seriously, Cloud9, they look so in control right now. Berserker's completely untouched on mid-wave. He's going to continuously be able to shove this in. Same you look towards Fudge. And I think the only thing is, as long as you like buy time where you're just shoving Fnatic into the base, 2 minutes until Baron, you just fall back. It's so easy for you to operate from this position.
And Berserker's sitting on 2K in pocket, right? So he's working towards that third item. Noah just got his second done here. So Berserker definitely, you know, in a comfortable spot, you know, scaling up incredibly well. We'll see what that third item will be. I'm expecting just something along the lines of a Bloodthirster, maybe even you know, going towards like a Hexdrinker or something if he's really scared, but I think it's probably just going to be BT from this spot because there's not really a lot of armor to justify an LDR, and you're trying to think about how can you lose a fight? Well, maybe getting chunked out early, maybe getting poked out, so get some lifesteal and try to account for that.
See what he does decide to go with. As EMENES here towards his bottom side, just getting that wave sorted out. I do want to just say for those who are sitting at home thinking, why aren't C9 just winning the game? They have Xayah and 4 melees. It's not exactly the easiest siege composition to navigate, so probably just going to have to wait for this next Baron that's going to be conveniently up in about a minute's time.
And that's the thing, they took Baron so early that it's just like, oh, we've actually got to try and delay. It's 25 minutes into the game. They're going to pick up their second Baron off the back of this. And like, a tiniest bit of copium is, hey, look, Humanoid is getting some items, a big shockwave could maybe do something, but with how quickly Cloud9 are able to collapse onto Fnatic, it feels like there is just no real opportunity for Fnatic to contest this at all, as long as Cloud9 are pushing in the waves, getting their vision control down, and that's exactly what they're about to do now.
Yeah, so Berserker did actually go for rapid fire, so a bit more aggressive option, but IE completed for EMENES, and he's 16 now, which is terrifying on the Yone. When you hit this point in the game with the IE, with level 16, if you connect on that ulti on a carry, they just die. It's kind of how it works at this point. This champion scales ridiculously well.
Yeah, I haven't seen a 3-item Yone in quite some time, to be perfectly honest, because either they win and have 2 items and they're just dominating the games really short, or they just don't quite get there because they're not quite doing enough. So this is going to be huge. Fudge going to mitigate a whole bunch of that engage, and now Blaber says that he's got his own. Noah standing on some vision and is going to try to clear that one away. C9 just, they did have to use the Zhonya's cooldown.
Yeah.
There is at least that.
I mean, it is a bit of an early stasis there from Fudge. I think he was concerned about the potential follow-up, about getting CC'd by Trymbi, you know, dying in a shockwave, like the 100-0 type play is what he's really worried about there, but it is the Zhonya's down. And you can see Fnatic just trying to scout away. They use their blue orb. That's on cooldowns. And now they use the Ezreal ulti. And they're trying to keep eyes on this Baron, knowing that, hey, Berserker could be on this. Someone could be actually working away on it.
I don't think you need to pressure the jungle here as Cloud9, though. I think you can, like, look at EMENES. He's pushing in top, get someone pushing mid, and then Fnatic have to respond to defending their base, and then you can fall back to Baron. So I think this is a little bit risky, and actually they're going to start up the Baron immediately as you see Oscarinin in the top side.
Exactly. They see Oscar, so they want to at least force TP, but they need to make sure they peel Razork.
Yeah, Zven is going to be able to flash his way out of there. There's the CC onto the jungler, but Razork might be able to get into the pit. It's still solo. He steals it! He manages to get the Trymbi, also trying to make their escape, but can they survive is the question. The equalizer didn't do a whole lot, but Trymbi will eventually fall down. But Fnatic sacrificing a Rakan for a Baron, you take those.
100% you take those! Razork with a massive of steel that might just delay this game long enough for them to come back.
I mean, that is a massive swing there. It is going to be Cloud9 taking a dragon, but honestly, who cares? It's just the second dragon for them. And Cloud9 did try to get out and try to actually keep Razork away, but Zven gets forced back. They did a good job with the entrance here. Zven gets forced to flash over the wall. He has to retreat, so EMENES goes over the wall, but Razork just kicks him away and finds the angle, and someone needed to be behind that Baron, probably blocking the Q, because as soon as he connects on that Q, he has the advantage in the smite fight over Blaber.
Yeah, I don't think the Q went on to the jungler, but I actually think he flashed into the pit.
Oh.
It was just, he just managed to get in over the wall, so Razork
the Q did
just
hit
managed
Blaber?
to win. It hit Blaber, yeah,
Oh,
and
wow,
then
my
he ended up
mistake.
flashing into the pit, so
just a 50-50?
Just a 50-50, yeah.
Yeah, well played.
But I don't think Cloud9 needed to put themselves in that position, right? I think they had opportunities to push out waves and then make sure that Fnatic weren't able to get there, and now Fnatic will have that time to try and build up. You don't contest Dragon, you start to get like towers on the map, get some of these bounties in your favor. Question mark?
Could be in a little bit of trouble here as he's trying to get out. It's not gonna work. EMENES is now dominating, and our Rebel Baron power play is going to be slightly less than it was before, but still 1800. You're pretty happy with that if you are Fnatic, especially when this game looked like it was just over. And another one. Now EMENES looking for the opportunity. Does pull himself back with the Unbound Soul, and the Shockwave is now on cooldown.
Yeah, nicely played there by EMENES, but it was his flash actually committed, so did spend quite a bit. The death cap, though, is what my eyes are on. Anytime I see Orianna with death cap, I'm saying, hey, you got a chance. You know, if you find that perfect Shockwave, it can really make things happen, but not having that on cooldown makes it much more difficult. Razork now looking for the flank, but he's spotted. Got to be careful.
Yeah, he's on vision. The knockup is actually going to land here, but no follow-up going to be available. And Blaber going to move back towards the Fog of War. C9 still with full map control, but Fnatic starting to feel like they can get back out here. Razork trying to get in there for that red buff, and now the Cataclysm is what's going to be there in answer. He goes down to his GA as the Depth Charge flies through, gets 2 in the knockup, but C9, they didn't have the follow-up. Berserker wasn't hitting anyone, and now
it's a mess.
He needs to deal with this orb. Trymbi taking a bit of damage, but he's able to get back to his team, and that is just a free kill on Zven.
Cloud9 way overcommitted for the play. Both top and jungle ultimates didn't find the success that they needed, and Fnatic, they bounced back.
Well, actually, way worse is they lose the GA as well. I think C9 are looking nervous. They were looking so clean earlier in the game, and they give up this Baron steal, and you can see they're starting to sweat a bit. It felt like they're over-forcing on a couple of these plays. They go in here. Yeah, Blaber finds the knockup, but they have so much mobility. You have to respect the fact that they can just jump right out of this, and they're able to get out of there no problem. Sure, the equalizer goes down, but no one's stuck in the pit. It's not on the Orianna's head. So they get the GA, they get the kill, and Fnatic slowly but surely making you believe that they could actually win this game.
They're also just playing off of Berserker not being there. Berserker was pushing mid-wave, so he's not really in a position to follow up, and even if you are, that's the perfect scenario for Humanoid to look for these big shockwaves with that Rabbit on death cap complete. So Cloud9, as you say, small mistakes now come back to bite them.
Honestly, it's definitely getting a little bit more nerve-wracking now for Cloud9. And you asked earlier, Max, you know, is this kind of like the emotional damage when you're in this long game and you're getting beat down the whole time? I will say, the shoe starts to go on the other foot.
Absolutely.
When the team that's behind starts to really make you work for it. You know, even if Fnatic were to lose this game, I would feel like that would give you some confidence in, hey, we almost, you know, were able to come back in a game that we were so far down. So Cloud9, I feel like they're going to be the ones sweating a bit. The game is still very much in their favor. You know, when you're looking at the itemization, they're in a great spot. Your carries are really, really strong, but you have to be on point with your engages. Fnatic has their items. You know, they are at a good point here too. You can't underestimate them.
I think as well, like even for Cloud9, your scaling is so strong when you've got the Yone, the Xayah. I mean, Rumble is still going to be an incredibly strong spot.
They're disadvantaged. It would take a Herculean effort for them to win.
True. Sorry, yeah. my bad. But still, I think they are in a really, really good spot. Yes, Fnatic have found some plays that they've been able to turn around, but I think, as you say, if Cloud9 just find that one engage, this game is over.
Exactly, especially because the waves are almost always in Cloud9's favor. Fnatic can't really cross mid-map. The inhibitor tower mid is already gone, so if C9 get, you know, that big team fight, you know, they do get the good execution. They can clean this game up. We'll see if they want to try to wait for certain itemizations to be finished. You can see that Fudge has the components of that death cap. That would be a massive completion for him. You know, you're looking towards that BT that just got finished there for Berserker. Wits End on the way for EMENES. So they are working on these items, but there's always that chance for Fnatic. And they have a lot of playmaking on this team, which always makes you believe that bit much more, you know? Even if you're behind, hey, that perfectly Sin kick, that perfect engage from Trymbi, that perfect shockwave from Humanoid can really turn a game on its head.
Especially when you've got all those flashes now up and available for them as well, that takes up a fancy. But I think the big one that I'm looking at is EMENES not having his. Once Cloud9 have access to all their own summoner spells, that becomes way more difficult to try and achieve, because C9 honestly are just as slippery with the amount of opportunities they have to try and get away. So I think Fnatic definitely still have their work cut out for them if they hope to bring this back. And with Baron now in 30 seconds, have Cloud9 learned from their last mistake of just not controlling the map before they start this one up?
Absolutely. You know, I think that they thought they were in a better spot than they were. You know, they saw Oscar top lane. I think they thought they were going to get a TP or something there. EMENES, you know, back out on the map. TP's back towards bot side. They're looking for a pick on Noah.
Yeah, fantastic hook from Zven. He gets the knock up as well. EMENES is going to dive in with the ulti. Noah's in trouble, but it's Zven that goes down first. And Noah, he's so slippery, manages to stay alive, but it is Razork that falls down as well. The equalizer flies
Berserker
in at the same time. And yeah, Berserker is just free hitting. Noah not going to be able to do anything. There's the flash forward to get the knock up as well. And Oscarinin has to run for the hills. This might just be it. Humanoid's still there with a decent health bar, but the inhibitor is not.
I think Fnatic, when they get back to base, heal up, they'll be able to push Cloud9 out. No jungler available though. I don't know if Cloud9 want to try and start this up. Humanoid has no ultimate, which might be the moment to go for it.
They're going to start it. They're going to actually go for it here. You know, they want to force this. Oscar, no flash, no ulti for Humanoid. It's just them, and I don't think they can get on the map and do anything, so they're going to try to get the objective bounty on this dragon, move themselves towards Soul Point. We'll see if Cloud9 can do anything about that, but it is going to be the Blaber for, securing the Baron, and Cloud9 will have that advantage.
Yeah, full information here for C9 as this dragon has been started off, but it looks like it will just go down before they can do anything. So Fnatic do manage to get to Soul Point. I don't know how much that is going to mean up against a 9,500 gold lead. Let's have a look at this once again.
Yeah, eyes on the shockwave from Humanoid. This shockwave is what kept Noah alive in bot time. Look at the shockwave right here. Snaps them both back. There's a stun from Oscar as well. You know, that CC bought the time for Noah, created space for him, and meant that when EMENES snapped back, they're able to actually even pile in and kill him off. Yes, Berserker is free hitting, but again, the mobility from Fnatic really frustrating them. Blaber, though, good follow to get that triple, but again, it's another leap strike there from Oscar, getting him out to safety. Fnatic have been really good at disengaging and losing fights, because I think a lot of lesser teams would have just kind of kept fighting it out or wouldn't have been able to get out and the game would end.
This is the moment Cloud9 have been waiting for though. When they, big shockwave.
Shockwave going to be used onto Fudge there, takes a lot of damage. Now trying to get out, the equalizer does come in and he survives. Oh man, that could have been a huge pick for Fnatic.
Absolutely, but remember, no TP, so he has to go back to base, so this buys them time, buys them the ability to buy time and clear out these waves, and that's what Fnatic is trying to do, because now Fnatic has a possible win condition of Soul, right? So they're just trying to live through this Baron power play.
And that's what I was about to say, was for Cloud9, this is your moment to strike. You finally get the Baron, you've got the opportunity to, well, you've already cracked open mid, get pressure mid, play for top, play and swing into bot side. This is your moment where you can close out this game as Cloud9, but just getting caught there as Fudge will buy a little bit of time for Fnatic, but that's a lot of damage onto Trymbi.
Yeah, and you can see though, look at Humanoid. His ulti's basically back up. Like the cooldown is very low late in the game, and he is doing so much damage. Has the Void Staff, has the Death Cap, EMENES looking for some poke there, but again, just like one QW from Humanoid is so much your health.
That is going to get the Feather Storm, so we're going to trade ulti
Humanoid's
for
taking
ulti.
over.
That is definitely higher value for Fnatic. That shockwave, like you say, low cooldown, and Featherstorm means that Berserker is now very vulnerable. Trymbi now understanding that, looking for a potential angle here. C9 do look to back away, and man, this is... I was joking, Azael. I didn't think that this was just going to keep getting dragged out, but we've seen 3 of those dragons since then, and we may see another.
I mean, that Rebel Baron power play, you can see in the top left corner, it's nothing for Cloud9. The fact that Berserker doesn't have flash and doesn't have his ult means that you have to play back, so Cloud9 can't get full advantage. Again, as you say, Humanoid's been pulling off miracles at the moment with this Orianna.
He's 2-4, but this is a 1v9 game. Like this, he's actually playing so well in these later stages. He single-handedly ruined the entire Baron for Cloud9. He forces back Fudge. He has to base, walk all the way back out. By the time he gets out, he forces out the Featherstorm from Berserker, so they have to back off again. That just killed it completely, and now it makes this Baron take completely worthless, and it means that Fnatic are one potential mistake away or one steal away from getting Soul, and I think at that point, the game is heavily in their favor.
Yeah, 244 is actually how much he benches because he's just doing all the heavy lifting in this one. It's been absolutely absurd. And I think now, as you say, with the voice staff now completed, if Humanoid finds that one moment, that could be it. So, I won't say it's it. You still have a lot of space to clear on the map here for Fnatic.
This late in the game, though, if you get an ace at a dragon, the game can just end.
Yeah, this is just one teamfight territory, right?
Yeah,
like,
it
if
is.
you manage to have enough people alive, and especially ones that do damage afterwards, then you are just going to win the game. And Fnatic, I think they've just stalled enough to get to exactly that point. They won't have to worry about Elder Drakes for at least another, what, 7 minutes or something like that. So we're not going to have that one on the table. But still, this is really going wrong. And you were talking, like, you mentioned this, Azael, like, this is actually now working against C9, because even now, if they win this, doesn't feel as fantastic if you've taken this long to close out a game like this, especially with Fnatic fighting back so well.
I think Cloud9 are starting to learn from the takeaways they've had in this game, though. Like, look at where they're positioned. Have EMENES push side, have Fudge push the other one. You know that there's not really an opportunity for Fnatic to bounce back against that as long as you keep your waves in check and keep the vision there to stop Fnatic when in their tracks.
But here's the problem. 4 players on Fnatic have dashes. The only real target is Humanoid, and he's playing behind the rest of them, right? Even if you get that Jarvan ult into the Equalizer, it's not really doing anything anymore because it's going to be a Ward Hop, it's going to be an Arcane Shift, it's going to be a Leap Strike, it's going to be a Battle Dance. There's so many ways to get out of that, and C9 are struggling to really get to Humanoid, and if you're trying to just run straight at the guy, you're going to get shredded by everyone else, and you're going to walk into that shockwave. So Cloud9, I think, are starting to struggle a bit, and the fact that they were playing this composition, it helped to get them ahead, but the siege potential was so low that things are kind of difficult now for them to close it out.
Yep, and Humanoid now has, Azonia's completed as well, 6 items done for the Orianna, and they are not the cheap ones. This is all the damage that you could possibly get here for this Orianna. Now going to start building these elixirs over and over again. Yeah, no, it doesn't. And that is what C9 had going for them, is now Oscarinin in a little bit of trouble here towards the bottom side. EMENES doing a good job, but not going to be able to do enough before he has to go back to that soul. Noah in trouble, does flash, Cataclysm comes on through, Trymbi just evaporates before our very eyes, and now Berserker trying to take matters into his own hands. There's the ult from EMENES! We were waiting for it, and we found it in the end, and C9 will finally get the team fight and look to close out the game.
It wasn't pretty, it wasn't clean, but Cloud9 will get it done in game number 1 against Fnatic.
Let's just hope that people went to get something to eat thinking this game was done, and then they see that C9 won in the end anyway. The first Nexus turret goes down, Berserker grabs another kill, and now C9 will finish the task. 1-0 in this best of 3, playing for their lives.
Cloud9 finally getting that fight that they needed. It was a long, hard-fought battle, but you could see how confident they were in that last one. Finally, they were able to get their positioning onto Humanoid and take down the problem on Fnatic.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that was massive. They go in, but that's all we have to say for now. We're going to toss it over to the desk to find out what they thought about game